The Great Gilly Hopkins, Chapter 13, Jackson, Virginia. The ride in Miss Hopkins' 10-year-old Buick station wagon to Jackson, Virginia took just over an hour. To Gilly, it seemed like 100 years. Oh, nice hyperbole. Exaggeration. Every other time she had moved, she'd been able to think of the destination as a brief stop along the way, but this was the end of the road. Always before, she had known she could stand anything, because someday soon Courtney would come and take her home. But now she had to face the fact that Courtney had not come. She had sent someone else in her place. Perhaps Courtney would never come. Perhaps Courtney did not want to come. The heaviness dragged her down. What was she doing here in this old car with this strange woman who surely didn't want her, who had only taken her out of some stupid idea of duty, when she had come home with Trotter and William Ernest and Mr. Randolph, who really wanted her? Who? Could she dare the word, even to herself? Who loved her? And she loved them. Oh, hell, she had spent all her life, at least all of it since the Dixons went to Florida and left her behind, making sure she didn't care about anyone but Courtney. She had known that it never pays to attach herself to something like that. She had known that it never pays to attach yourself to something that is likely to blow away. But in Thompson Park, she had lost her head. She loved those stupid people. Would you like to turn on the radio? No, that's all right. I'm not familiar with the latest music, but I don't really mind as long as it's not too loud. Ugh, can't you just leave me alone? She thought. There were several miles of silence before the woman tried again. Miss Ellis seems like a nice person, Gilly shrugged. She's okay, I guess. She seems to think that I got a rather wrong impression of that foster home that she had put you in. Something dark and hot began to bubble up inside of Gilly. They were all sick last week, she said. I see. How the hell could you see? She thought. Miss Ellis tried to tell me that you had really liked it there, despite everything from your letter. Oh, that damn letter. I lie a lot, Gilly said tightly. Oh. A quick side glance and then back to the windshield. The woman was so short she was almost peering through the top of the steering wheel. Gilly saw her small hands tighten on the wheel as she said, I'd hoped you'd be glad to come with me. I'm sorry. If you're sorry, turn this old crate around and take me back. But of course the woman didn't. The house was on the edge of the village. It was a little larger, a little older, and considerably cleaner than Trotter's house. No horses for W.E. Oh well, she didn't really expect any. I thought you might like to have Courtney's old room. What do you think? Anything's okay. But when she got to the door of Courtney's room, she hung back. Everything in that room was pink, with a 4-poster canopied bed, complete with stuffed animals and dolls. She couldn't make herself go in there. It's all right, my dear. It's a big house, you may choose. The room which she found most to her liking had a bunk bed with brown corduroy spreads and models of airplanes hanging on delicate wires from the ceiling. In a metal wire wastebasket was a basketball and a football and a baseball mitt still cradling a stained and scruffed up ball. The grandmother explained quietly, without her having to ask, that it was the room of Chadwell, Courtney's older brother. He had been a pilot who one day crashed into the steaming jungles of Vietnam, and nonetheless his room seemed less haunted than his sister's. Would you like me to help you unpack? Inside her head she was screaming, I don't need any help. But for Trotter's sake she said, No, thank you, I can do it. They ate lunch in the dining room with real monogrammed silver off silver-rimmed china set on lace mats. The woman caught Gilly eyeing the layout. I hope you don't mind my celebrating a little. She seemed to be apologizing. I usually eat in the kitchen since I've been alone. The word alone twanged in Gilly's head. She knew what it meant to be alone, but only since Thompson Park and Trotter did she understand a little bit about what it meant to have people and then lose them. She looked at the person who was smiling shyly at her, who had lost her husband, lost her son, lost her daughter. Ugh, that was alone. And as lunch progressed, the woman began almost to chatter, as though she were overcoming her shyness or forcing herself to. I feel very silly saying to you, tell me about yourself, but I wish you would. I want to get to know you. That's not how you get to know people, thought Gilly. Don't you know that? You can't talk it out. You gotta live. You gotta live into their lives, bad and good. Oh, you'll know me soon enough, what I want you to know, she thought. Miss Ellis says that you're very bright. I guess so. Do you want to see about school right away, or would you rather settle in here first? I don't know. It doesn't matter. I'm afraid you'll get bored just sitting around with me all day. I want you to make friends your own age. I'm sure there's some nice girls your age somewhere around here. I've never in my life been friends with a nice girl. What kind of things do you enjoy doing? Oh, please shut up. I can't stand you trying so hard. I don't know. Anything. Well, if you like to read, I still have Chadwell and Courtney's books. There may even be a bicycle out in the shed. Do you suppose it's any good after all these years? Would you like a bicycle? I'm sure we could find the money for a bicycle if you'd like one. Oh, stop hovering over me. I'm going to smother, she thought. They did the dishes, and Gilly wiped silently while her grandmother nervously putted on and on. It didn't seem necessary to answer her questions. She went right on whether or not Gilly bothered to reply. What had happened to that quiet little lady in the car? It was as though someone had turned on a long unused faucet. The problem was how in the world to get it shut off again. Gilly had to try. She yawned elaborately and stretched. Are you tired, dear? Gilly nodded. Yeah, I guess I haven't caught up on my sleep. I had to be up a lot last week with everyone being sick and all. Oh, my dear, how thoughtless of me. Here I am going on and on. No, it's all right, Gilly said. I think I'll just go up and lie down a bit, if you don't mind. What a good idea. I often lie down a little bit in the afternoon myself. In the quiet of Chadwell's room, Gilly laid back, and she gazed out the window at the blue expanse of sky. If she lifted up on her elbow, she could see the rolling hills beyond the margin of the tiny town, and beyond the hills, the mountains dark and strong. She felt herself loosening. Had Chadwell been homesick for this sight? As he dropped those bombs from his airplane in the jungle? Why would anyone leave such a peaceful place like this for war? Maybe he had to go. Maybe they didn't give him any choice. Maybe he was drafted. But Courtney, she had a choice. Why did she leave? You don't just leave your mother because she talks too much. Why should she leave and not look back a single time? Why did she never look back here? Until now. She must care about me. A little. She wrote her mother to come and get me because she was worried about me. Doesn't that prove that she cares? Gilly got up and took Courtney's picture out from underneath her t-shirts. How silly. She was in Courtney's house now. Courtney didn't have to hide in a drawer any longer. She propped the picture up against the bureau lamp. Maybe her grandmother would let her buy a frame for the picture. She sat down on the bed and looked back at Courtney, sitting there up on the bureau. Beautiful, smiling Courtney. Courtney with her perfect teeth and her lovely hair. Something was wrong, though. That face didn't fit in this room any more than it had fit in all the others. Oh, Courtney, why did you go away and leave her? Why did you go away and leave me? She jumped up and slid that picture face down under the t-shirts again.